we're back to IGN's E3 live show being streamed on e3.ign.com and on YouTube. A slight change for you. Crackdown 2 is still coming, but first we've got a new game from the people who brought you Heavenly Sword. Say hello to Enslaved Odyssey to the West.
Guys, thanks for being on the show.
Enslaved Odyssey to the West.
It looks like a beautiful game. I've always enjoyed your use of color.
Yeah.
Just to set it up for people who might not be familiar with what you're doing, just give us a general overview of what Enslaved all about.
So when I was doing research for Heavenly Sword, I came across a book called Journey to the West, 400-year-old Chinese novel, kind of like an Eastern version of Lord of the Rings. And I was really captivated by it. And it's been actually adapted into many mediums, so like Dragon Ball Z is based on it. Damon Albarn, Jamie Hewlett from Gorillas in an Opera a couple years ago. So we decided to do our own kind of interpretation. Only our game is set 150 years in the post-apocalyptic future. And the two principal characters are Monkey and Trip. Monkey's the character you play, real brute force guy, good with his, good at punching robots with his, and smashing them up with his telescopic staff. And Trip's not a physical character, but she's very tech savvy. And they're linked together through this slave headband that she's attached onto his head. And basically, he's got to do everything she says, just like any relationship, really. And if he doesn't, he can suffer pain. And what's more, if she dies, it's rigged to implode and kill him too. And the idea is she wants to get home, and she has no way to get home in this dangerous environment, so she needs a bodyguard, and that's why he's enslaved.
So you really have forced cooperative gameplay here.
Yeah, I mean, it starts off that way. And what it does is it changes the feel of the gameplay, because when you're with a lot of games, it's just pure action. You just go in there, you know, you're the hero. You just go in there, all guns blazing, and you take on an army. And in this game, because you've got to work with this other character, and you've both got to survive, it introduces a level of brains to the mix. You know, you've got to think about your strategy, your tactics. So it's not just a mindless mashup.
Now explain to me a little bit about the combat that we're seeing. We see this staff that's sort of
Generating out of his arm.
What is that, and where did he get it?
Okay, so the staff is actually it's actually in the original story. He's got this telescopic staff which he keeps bizarrely inside his ear, and it can extend and poke the Milky Way. So we're not going that far. It's like a military device that he's found, that he's stolen. And there's a full combat engine in there. It's very accessible, so most of the moves are available on 1 or 2 button presses. So you've got your blocks, evades, counters, a full combat set. But what it isn't is easy. The game is set up to be quite challenging. When there's 3 or 4 enemies, you've got to divide and conquer, knock them back, stun one, take on the other guy. Maybe even rip off one of the guy's machine gun, use it against the other guys. So you're always thinking on your feet, even in combat.
So there is some shooting involved.
Yeah, actually, as well as temporarily grabbing other enemies' weapons, his staff also doubles up as a range device. So you've got 2 types of plasma, stun plasma and stun ammo and plasma ammo. One does damage and one knocks out shields. And you can shoot people, you can snipe people with it.
Now explain to me what happens on the screen when we see the other character targeted, and you can see commands coming up.
So Trip just got into danger. Generally speaking, she'll avoid conflict until it's safe, but in this case, she had no choice. And she has basically a panic device. It's an EMP blast, which when she triggers, it'll stun enemies for about 10 seconds, and you've got that amount of time to rescue her. And if you don't do it, they'll probably kill her.
And when she goes, you go.
You go, yes.
Exactly. So, aside from the combat, are there any
Puzzle elements to this game?
It looks like the environments are quite big. It looks like sort of you're in the ruins right now.
Yeah, so after Heavenly Sword, we wanted to make a much more rounded game. So there's equal parts combat, platforming, and puzzle solving. And we mix it in all kinds of different ways, and it's always involving Trip in some manner.
Cool. Well, the game looks beautiful. I'm really excited to play it.
Thanks for being on the show and giving us a look at it.
Thank you.
Back to you, Jess.
Thanks for that sneak peek, guys. We've got one more to go. Stay right there. Crackdown 2 is coming right at you.